Good morning, everybody. This is Nate Manahan, live from Indianapolis, Indiana. Today, we're going to be talking about, how in the world do we figure out things when we realize, hey, we're going to have lower pay, even with all the stimulus, all the opportunities over the next couple of weeks. What are things we can do to lower costs, increase revenue, maybe take some side jobs? What are our ideas for Brian and Linky and Danny Shard? We're going to be talking about sports, trivia questions. We have all kinds of topics, plus Merchant Services 101, where we talk about and help us understand what pricing is. This is the High Five.
I'm sleeping at night. Questions are said, opinions hide, discussions are led. A show about nothing and everything. It's all the same. We've got sports, entertainment, sales, and marketing. It's time for the High Five. We've got it all covered. It's time for the High Five. We've got it all covered. Yeah. The High Five.
Yes, everybody, it is time for the High Five. Let me make sure we're getting everybody in here because I want to introduce you to the two smartest individuals in this Zoom call. Mr. Brian Linky from Warsaw, Indiana. How are you, Brian?
I'm really well, Nate. Thank you for asking. Tuesday morning, we've got some good things planned for today. Danny Shard has gone into his a magic basket, and we've got a call after this with the team, and looking forward to doing a little something different today. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome, and Mr. Danny Shard from Glenwood Springs, Colorado, the home of the largest elk population in Glenwood Springs. How are you, Danny?
Doing good. Wake up. Good morning, everybody. I feel privileged to be one of the smartest people on this call, like you said. So thank you, Nate.
You're welcome.
How come I feel like I'm number 3?
Hey, I clearly said you two were the smartest, so you're in the top two. So, but you did just show something when you said you're the third, and when I said you were top two. All right, and I've got to say, so this morning it was interesting. So I clicked on a podcast as you learned yesterday. For those who watched, I listened to a lot of podcasts. At 6 a.m., I wasn't really paying attention. I was clicking on a podcast to listen to, and I clicked on an episode that was 4 weeks old. In fact, I'll give them credit. It's a local podcast here in Indianapolis. Actually, they're on the floor of the Indianapolis office, Mojo Media, and they usually record from there. They're quarantining, and they had recorded 4 weeks ago, just after we all started this quarantine thing. And it was interesting to listen to them think, man, this is only going to last 2 weeks. I can't believe it, man. It's going to last to April. Maybe it's going to happen. And how quickly perspectives change, things change. And that's why we're here to help bring a little levity to your life, because we don't know when this is going to end. In fact, I don't know that we'll ever end this show. But the fact is, life is changing. Things are fun, and we're going to talk about some really interesting things today. Let's bring up the gentleman because I have the first question of the day. If you build the perfect day, so I'm looking at you, Brian Linky, looking at you, Danny Shard. If you build the perfect day, what would that day look like? And maybe you have a couple different options. What would the perfect day just all put together, what would that look like for Brian Linky and Danny Shard? Who's going to go first?
Okay, is this a trick question, Nate?
Well, every question's a trick question. There's a trap somewhere on there.
Here, but okay, I'll go first. I think the perfect day, and again, the Pay Protect way is family first, right? In that we've all come to that agreement. So my perfect day would obviously have to do with my family, and I always think about being down in the Bahamas at Atlantis with my boys and or down in the Florida Keys, or one of these days I'm gonna have Matt Hoskins pay for me to go to Cabo San Lucas and with my family, and just kind of have that kind of tropical vacation with my entire family. I think that would be something. Well, that would be the perfect day for me, and something that I'm definitely going to end up doing if I can live that long. So.
All right. I like that, Mr. Brian Linky. Hopefully we all see that very soon. Mr. Danny Shard, how about you? What is your perfect day? How are you going to build it? Maybe you have a couple options there.
I thought about this for a little bit this morning after I saw the questions, and how these have changed throughout the years, right? My definition of the perfect day has changed quite a bit than what it was maybe 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I would have said The perfect day, especially here in Colorado, is being able to ski in the morning and play golf in the afternoon, right? Like that would have been perfect. And I've done it a handful of times. It's awesome. Now my perfect day is absolutely with family. I'm really looking forward to being able to take my little boy to Disney World and see his face when, whenever the fireworks are going off and that place is lighting up. So, of course, I think Brian Linke's perfect day was fairly recently whenever we got to get onto the field at the Florida State University and the entire key perfect day pretty recently. He's just forgetting about it.
So Brian, tell us about. Oh, did we lose Brian over there?
No, we didn't lose me. We didn't lose.
All right,
me.
didn't lose. All right, I just looked over. I was like, hey,
sorry.
there's no one there in that screen.
Sorry.
Where'd he go?
Sorry.
All right. So Brian, tell us about that perfect day when you're on the field. You are the Florida State Seminole. You created the chop. That's going to be a story we're going to tease and tell at some point. You are the man who absolutely bleeds. What is it? What's the colors? What do you call it? I'm sorry.
Please, does everybody not know this? Garnet and gold.
Garnet and gold. That's it. You're the same color as the Redskins. So hail to the Redskins. Isn't that what the Redskins go? All right, but so what's it like when you're on the field after 80 years after you graduate?
We so Danny and I and Danny's brother Brian, we were went down to the Florida State basketball game, last game of the season, and kind of did the tour, the amazing tour that day, and we were in the gift shop, which kind of like leads out to the field, and there was a lady standing guard there, and she was not allowing anybody onto the field until she saw me, and I did a little bit of the Brian Linke magic. She opened the door, we walked out there, and all of a sudden we're standing in the middle of Doak Campbell Stadium, just the three of us, and it was just something awesome, just awesomeness. And got to share it with Danny, got to share it with Brian, and we just kind of like looked up, looked around, and it was the perfect day. It was like, 62 degrees and not a cloud in the sky, and it was something I'll never forget.
He walks up to the lady. Let me be clear, okay? He walks up to the lady and puts his hand out, says, Brian Linke, class of 85, how you doing? like she's gonna know who he is, and she played along, and I think his good looks and personality won us a walk on the field. As we're out there, they've got all the numbers of the players who have retired their numbers. I guess it is retired their numbers for Florida State, and there's probably 10 or 12 of them, and I'm just going through pointing at each one. He knows every single one of them from every era. It was impressive. It was cool to see, and it's a cool stadium.
Yeah, we'll be back there. We'll be back. Hopefully, they'll open this up and we'll play football this fall, and we'll get back there again.
Well, we will certainly see. For me, perfect day, certainly a lot of times walk around sports. And Brian, I totally agree. It does go around family. And so I was thinking a couple things. One, the perfect days, they're really two different, and you need both in your life. A perfect day for me is a beach house with my kids, watching the joy of them just going in and out of the waves, being able to eat, get in, and I just like having a place where you can walk to really easily on the beach, go take a shower in the middle of the day. Maybe you spend 4 hours on the beach in 2-hour segments. You watch the sunset, then you have an incredible seafood dinner right on the water. That's a wonderful and a perfect day, and there are several places I'm willing and love to do that. And at this point, as I look out the window and see the gray skies, I'm all for that. The other thing is there are those moments, just like you guys mentioned, where the perfect day is just hanging out with the guys, whether it's Brian, I remember a day, you, Billy West, and I, we just walked the strip. In fact, you and I have walked the strip twice in Vegas for multiple miles, just going from place to place and just hanging out and just enjoying it. It wasn't like, craziness, though the one night, well, that's another story for another day, how we ended up at the Prime at the Bellagio. But that there is always something about hanging out with the boys